I said, God, if you're there, show yourself to me. And I just, out of the blue, this thought came to me. I sat for a few minutes and then I said, okay, chalo, chalte hain. That was it. But then when I go back and look at the dates, it was within a week that I met Babuji.
Wow. You mentioned you're a gypsy, but in one way you found a place. This is more of a metaphysical place, not a physical place. An anchor in heartfulness. How did that start?
Oh, I'm the least likely person that could have that would have joined a system with a guru, right?
A spiritual path.
No, spiritual, yes. I was always interested. My dad had a big collection of books, and I was an avid reader. So I used to read the Upanishads. I used to read Vivekananda. I used to read the various versions of Ramayana and Mahabharata. Every summer holidays, that was my thing to do. So it was always a very exciting thing to read about these people who, my admiration for people like Prahlada or Dhruva. These are people who sacrificed everything for their belief. I used to always wonder, will I ever have that kind of faith, to just quit everything and say, this is what I want, or Nachiketas, for instance. So I used to think, well, but then I saw the scene in India where, you could slip 100 rupee note and jump the queue and go to the temple. I never went to the temples. I only attended temples when somebody got married in them. So I had this healthy aversion for jumping the queue and other things. I must have been a lefty in some life. But at the same time, I knew that there was this fabulous thing that is described in our Upanishads and other texts. And I used to say, where is the connect between that and this?
What's going on in a temple?
Yeah, I mean, what's going on with the gurus. That was the time when Jim Jones and other things happened.
Oh, yeah.
So I was the least likely person to follow a guru at that time. But somehow, and this is a somehow, I met Babuji, and after that I said, I don't care. He may be a guru, he may not be a guru. I just want to hang out with this guy.
Where was that meeting? Where was that first meeting?
Actually, I met him a little earlier than I joined. My brother was in the system, so he used to come and pick me up from the hostel to take me home on weekends. So one weekend he said, do you mind? My guru is going to Europe for the first time and he's in Delhi now. Would you mind if I take you there first before we go home? I said, yes, of course, your guru, I'll go. So I went and I was introduced to him by my brother. And I just did the usual namaste and didn't feel anything at that time. It was just, but then, I have to go back and tell you something that happened that I didn't connect to this event at that time. One day I was in the hostel. I don't know why. All of a sudden I had this intense longing to just close my eyes and ask, and no reason at all. I wasn't having any catastrophic situation, nothing. I said, God, if you're there, show yourself to me. And I just, out of the blue, this thought came to me. I sat for a few minutes and then I said, okay, chalo, chalte hain. That was it. But then when I go back and look at the dates, it was within a week that I met Babuji.
Wow.
But I didn't realize it. At that time when I went, I thought he was my brother's guru. No.
It's only later that you connected the dots.
Yeah, that's because I just realized that, once somebody told me, I mean, of course, everybody tells you that it's not an accident. And I knew it was not an accident because how can you suddenly fall in love with an old man like that, I'm not the kind of a person, I'm a very deliberate person. But this man just made me feel like that was it. And so I said, why am I feeling like this? Not that I was worried that I was feeling like this, but I was kind of introspecting because my father, to whom I was very close, used to get very upset every time I went to Shahjahanpur. So he would say, "Hey, your guru gives it telepathically, telegraphically." That was my father's word. He's giving you telegraphically. Why do you have to go to Shahjahanpur? I used to tell him, "No, I want to go." And then he would come up, manufacture all kinds of illnesses before I would go. And I'd give him all medicines. I eat this, take this, you'll be fine. And so I understood that my father was kind of getting, I wouldn't say he was anxious because my brother was already following the system. My father knew it was a safe place. But suddenly his daughter, who was, so close to him, was suddenly running away to somebody else.
And eating into his time with you.
Yeah, not so much the time part. It was just that I think he couldn't understand that space being taken away.
Sure.
And so I used to wonder, why am I feeling like this? But there was no excuse, no explanation, but I was happy. I just said, it doesn't have to be, I don't have to go I don't have to go to Central Region or do anything like that. I'll hang out with this guy.
Well.
And there used to be a very devoted Abhyasi who used to be with Babuji. His name was Satpalji. And we used to, during Bandaras, everybody would chase after him to understand the details of Sahaj Marg. So once he gave this explanation, and I thought that was really neat. He said, भाई मैं सेंट्रल रीजन वेंट्रल रीजन कोई नहीं जानता, मैंने इस बूढ़े को पकड़ रखा, ये कहीं भी ले जाए ठीक है.
Wow.
And I thought that explained exactly what I felt. I was not interested in spiritual. I mean, I wasn't interested in reaching the central region or doing anything else like that.
The theory of
Yeah.
it.
At the same time, I knew there was a method to this madness. The scientist in me was constantly deliberating on what does this mean and what does that mean. I'd go read and I would understand some of it I wouldn't understand. But at the same time, there was this curious part of me, the child part of me that said, hey, I'm hanging out with the best guy. Why worry about these things?
Perhaps the understanding had already happened because of all your reading of the Upanishads and Vivekananda.
No, but I couldn't connect. One is to say, yes, I knew that this kind of relationship is possible. That I understood. But I didn't understand the mechanics of it. How is it? I remember when they told me that about transmission, and then when I used to deliberate on this understanding of constant remembrance, I said, Dimag mein to, how can you do two things at a time? How can you be in remembrance and do something else? I said, how can you do surgery being in remembrance? How can you do this? So, I was kind of making very practical correlations, and that didn't fit. But then I knew that there was something very special about this guy, that I didn't care. I mean, he didn't have to be the most famous man. He didn't have to be the most sought after man. He was there and I was there. We were happy. And that's all we used to do, Even when we got to spend time with him, I used to tell him, you rest. And then he'll take his hookah and he'll just smoke away. And then I'd just sit there and quietly listen to him. That's it. Listen to the hookah. That was it.
Wow. Because as far as gurus go, he had very little of the kind of accoutrements you expect of a guru, the kind of larger than life image some gurus have, some spiritual teachers have, who dress grandiosely and have a large entourage and sit up on a throne. Was he like that at all?
No, he was the simplest man, and he was the most childlike man I have ever seen. And so for me, it was like my old buddy who knows a lot, and I just hang out with him. That's it. I didn't care that, like later on when I used to think about, after I got to see his diaries and all, I used to think, my God, I was sitting with him and he was having these great conversations with all these great guys, and he didn't let on.
Mm. Mm.
And that is the beauty of his existence.